Hello, dear YouTube viewers, I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's start our video. Ethan's morning begins like any other, the faint buzz of his alarm mixing with the hum of traffic outside his apartment window. He moves through his small, tidy kitchen with quiet precision, coffee brewing at 7, breakfast at 7:30, out the door by 8. His life is neat, predictable, and disciplined, shaped by years of self-control and quiet responsibility. He's good at his job as an accountant, respected by his colleagues, and financially comfortable. But beneath the calm exterior lies a man who's grown used to distance. Distance from his emotions, his family, and especially his younger sister, Lena. They used to be close once, before life divided them into roles they never chose. Ethan became the responsible one, the adult before his time, while Lena remained the dreamer who always needed saving. It's been months since their last real conversation, and he's learned to live with the silence, believing that peace often comes from keeping his distance. That illusion shatters one ordinary afternoon. Ethan is at his desk, lost in spreadsheets, when his phone buzzes. He glances down without much interest until he sees her name. Lena. He opens the message absentmindedly, expecting something casual, maybe a funny meme or a small update about her kids. But his eyes freeze as he reads the words on the screen. I'm quitting my job. You'll support us while I get my life together. He stares at the message for a full minute, trying to make sense of it. A quiet laugh escapes him, the kind of laugh that hides confusion. It must be a joke. Maybe she typed it wrong. But before he can even form a reply, another message appears. I'm serious. I can't do this anymore. I'll explain later. The smile fades from his face. His heartbeat quickens, a dull ache forming in his chest. He types back quickly. Lena, what do you mean by us? No reply. He waits, checks the clock, pretends to refocus on work, but his mind won't stop spinning. The minutes turn into an hour, then 2. He tries calling her, no answer. He calls again, still nothing. A heaviness settles over him, that familiar mix of worry and irritation only family can bring. Finally, just as he's about to give up, his phone buzzes once more. Me and the kids. Derek left. The world around him goes silent. The chatter of coworkers, the click of keyboards, all of it fades. He reads the message again, as if repetition might change its meaning. Derek, her husband, left? Just like that? A dozen thoughts rush in. Rent, school fees, food, the kids. He hadn't even known they were struggling. How could she hide something this big from him? He leans back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. His mind drifts to the past, to the day their parents divorced. He was 12, she was 9. Their mother crying, their father shouting, and Lena clutching her stuffed toy, while Ethan promised everything would be fine. That was the day he stopped being a child. Their mother had pulled him aside later and said softly, Ethan, you have to look out for your sister. She's not like you. She needs someone strong. Those words never left him. Even now, decades later, they echo in his mind like a curse. Lena was always the one who stumbled, and Ethan was always the one who caught her. When she dropped out of college, he sent her money. When she got fired from her first job, he covered her rent. When she got married too quickly, he said nothing. Every time she fell, she expected him to catch her. And every time he did. But this message feels different. It isn't a request. It's a declaration. A decision made on his behalf. You'll support us. Not can you help? Not I need you. Just you will. As evening settles, Ethan sits in his dimly lit apartment, the glow of the phone screen reflecting on his tired eyes. His untouched coffee has gone cold beside him. He replays her message again and again, feeling an old ache return, the same one he thought he'd buried years ago. Part of him wants to call again, to demand answers. Another part wants to turn off his phone and forget. But he knows himself too well. The moment Lena said, me and the kids, the decision was already made. He'll drive down to see her. He'll help. He always does. And as he sits there in silence, one thought haunts him more than any other. Maybe this time, helping her might cost him more than he can afford to give. Ethan spends the drive back to his hometown in silence, the hum of the car engine drowning under the noise in his head. The sun is setting when he pulls into the small, quiet neighborhood where he and Lena grew up. Nothing much has changed. The same narrow streets, the same fading paint on the old buildings, the same uneasy feeling that always creeps in when he returns here. He parks outside her apartment, staring at the cracked windows and flickering porch light. Part of him wants to turn around, to leave before she sees him. But then he remembers her message, me and the kids. Derek left. He can't ignore that. Not this time. He knocks lightly. The door opens after a few seconds, and there she is, Lena. Her hair is messy, eyes swollen from crying, a hoodie pulled over her knees as if she's trying to hide inside it. Behind her, the apartment looks half lived in. Boxes piled up, unpaid bills scattered on the coffee table, and toys strewn across the floor. Her 2 children sit quietly on the couch, eyes fixed on the glowing TV screen, the cartoon's cheerful music a cruel contrast to the heaviness in the room. Ethan steps inside slowly, scanning the mess before turning to her. You actually did it? His voice trembles, half anger, half disbelief. Lena hugs her arms around herself and nods. I couldn't handle the stress anymore, she whispers. Derek walked out. He said he was done trying. And I just broke. Ethan looks away, jaw tightening. He wants to ask how she let things get this bad, how she could quit her job with 2 kids and no plan. But one look at her, at the exhaustion written across her face, stops him. She looks like someone who's been fighting too long and finally let herself fall. He exhales quietly, sinking into a chair. So what now? He asks. Her voice wavers. I just need a little help. A few months to get back on my feet. I'll start fresh, I promise. He doesn't answer right away. He's heard those words before. Every time, they sounded different, desperate, sincere, but the ending was always the same. Still, when he glances over and sees his niece and nephew curled up under a thin blanket, the anger inside him fades just a little. They didn't choose this. None of it is their fault. He nods, almost reluctantly. All right. I'll help, but only until you get things sorted. Her relief is instant. She wipes her eyes and hugs him tightly. Thank you, Ethan. I mean it this time. I'll fix everything. He doesn't say anything back. Deep down, he already knows this won't be temporary. In the weeks that follow, Ethan becomes part of her routine again, the silent safety net she never says thank you for but always relies on. Every month, he transfers money to her account, telling himself it's just until she finds work. But each time the calendar turns, the balance in his own savings shrinks a little more. He works overtime, takes freelance accounting projects, skips dinners with friends. When coworkers ask why he looks tired, he brushes it off with a smile. Just busy, he says. He was supposed to go on vacation that summer, a long-awaited break in Italy he'd been planning for years. The tickets stay unused. The money goes to cover Lena's rent instead. At night, he scrolls through his bank app, doing silent math in his head, wondering how long he can keep this up before he drowns too. Then, one evening, he's scrolling through social media and sees her post, Lena, smiling in a cafe, holding a latte, captioned, learning to breathe again son, #self-care, #healing. Another post the next week, yoga poses, sunlight streaming through her window. Then a brunch photo. Then a quote. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. Ethan stares at the screen, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. He scrolls down, searching for something, any sign of effort, a job update, maybe even a note about the kids. Nothing. Just filtered pictures of peace she hasn't earned yet. He tosses the phone aside and leans back, eyes closing in quiet frustration. She's out there finding herself, while he's losing pieces of his life to keep hers afloat. Still, he doesn't call her. He doesn't say a word, because guilt has a voice louder than anger, and it whispers that this is his duty, that he promised long ago to take care of her. So he keeps working, keeps sending money, keeps pretending he's fine. But every time he sees her smiling online, a part of him starts to wonder if the person she's finding is the same sister he's been sacrificing everything for. The months roll by, one indistinguishable from the next. Ethan's once steady rhythm has fallen apart, replaced by a constant low hum of exhaustion that follows him everywhere. He wakes up tired, goes to work half-focused, and spends every evening staring at his budget, trying to make the numbers fit. His paychecks disappear before he even sees them. His rent, Lena's rent, groceries for her kids, and school fees that never seem to end. Every bill feels heavier than the last, and every thank you from Lena feels emptier. At work, his boss starts to notice. The man who used to be punctual, precise, and sharp is now distracted, his spreadsheets full of small mistakes. "Everything okay at home?" his boss asks one morning after Ethan misses a deadline. Ethan forces a smile. "Just a family thing," he says quietly. "It's always a family thing." One Friday night, while having a drink with an old friend, Ethan finally lets a bit of it slip. He talks about the rent, the endless help, the way Lena seems stuck in the same cycle. His friend shakes his head and says bluntly, "You're not her savior, Ethan. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed." Ethan stares into his glass for a long moment before answering. "She's family," he says softly. "I can't just stop caring." The words come out small, almost like an apology. A few weeks later, he decides to visit Lena unannounced. He hasn't seen her in person for nearly a month, and the silence between their calls has started to bother him. He drives down early on a Saturday morning, rehearsing what he'll say in his head. Ask her about the job hunt. Remind her about the bills. Don't lose your temper. When he opens the door, what he finds leaves him speechless. The apartment looks better. Plants on the windowsill, a new rug, candles lit, but something feels off. Lena sits at the table with her laptop open, typing enthusiastically. For a brief moment, he feels relieved. Maybe she found work after all. "What are you working on?" he asks. She looks up, eyes bright. "I'm starting my own business," she says. "An online life coaching program. I want to help people find balance and peace." Ethan freezes. "Life coaching." He laughs, but it's not a happy sound. "You don't even have a job, Lena. You're living off my money." She stiffens. "It's not about money. It's about purpose. You wouldn't understand." Something in him snaps. "You can't coach life when you're running from yours." His voice echoes through the small room, sharp enough to make the kids peek from the hallway, eyes wide. Tears rush to Lena's eyes. "You've always looked down on me," she cries. "You think money fixes everything. You think you're better because you've never fallen apart. I just need time to heal, Ethan. Why can't you let me?" He opens his mouth to respond, but the sight of his niece holding her brother's hand stops him. Their small faces are pale, frightened. The sound of their mother crying fills the room. Ethan looks away, his anger dissolving into guilt. "I didn't mean to," he starts, but the damage is already done. He leaves without another word. The drive back to the city feels endless. The sound of her voice lingers in his mind, mixing with another voice he hasn't heard in years, his mother's. He remembers that night in the hospital, years ago, her hand weak in his. "Ethan," she whispered, "take care of your sister. She's not like you." Those words were meant as love, but they became a chain around his neck. Everything he's done since, every sacrifice, every sleepless night, has been because of that one sentence. It was never really Lena's voice keeping him bound. It was hers. By the time he reaches his apartment, he feels something new, resentment. It's a strange, heavy emotion, one he's never allowed himself to feel before. He looks at his empty bank account, at the unpaid bills stacked on his table, and feels a flash of bitterness. He's falling apart while trying to hold someone else together. Days pass. His credit card maxes out. His landlord leaves a polite but firm note about overdue rent. At work, his manager pulls him aside and gently suggests taking unpaid leave. "You need rest, Ethan. You're burning out." He spends the next 2 days lying in bed, phone buzzing beside him. Lena's name lights up the screen again and again, but he doesn't answer. For once, he wants silence. Just silence. But the quiet doesn't bring peace. It brings guilt. He pictures the kids, the rent, the fear in Lena's eyes when he yelled. By the second night, he can't stand it anymore. He stares at his phone until dawn, thumb hovering over her name, torn between anger and love. For the first time in his life, Ethan doesn't know if helping his sister is saving her or destroying himself. Ethan is half asleep when the pounding on his door jolts him awake. For a moment, he thinks he's dreaming, but then he hears it again. Urgent, desperate knocks echoing through the quiet apartment. He pulls on a shirt and opens the door, only to find Lena standing there, her eyes red and swollen, her children huddled beside her clutching small bags. The sight hits him like a punch to the chest. "Lena? What are you?" She doesn't let him finish. She bursts into tears, her voice trembling. "We have nowhere to go." He blinks, still trying to process it. "What do you mean, nowhere to go? What happened to your apartment?" She looks down, her voice breaking. "We got evicted." The words hang heavy in the air. Ethan feels the blood drain from his face. "I thought you said you paid the rent," he says, each word slow and sharp. She shakes her head, sobbing harder. "I did, but then the collectors came for Derek's debt. I used the rent money to pay them. I didn't want them threatening us. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out." Ethan steps back, anger and disbelief rising all at once. "So you used the money I sent for rent to pay his debts?" His voice cracks, raw and frustrated. "Lena, what were you thinking?" She doesn't answer. The kids cling to her legs, frightened by the tension. Her crying turns into a quiet shaking, her breath uneven. "I didn't know what else to do," she whispers. "I'm trying, Ethan. I really am. But everything's falling apart." He wants to yell, to tell her that trying isn't enough anymore. But when he sees her standing there, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped, her kids trembling beside her, his anger fades into something heavier. He sighs and gestures them inside. The children rush past him and wrap their arms around his legs. "Uncle Daddy," the little girl murmurs softly, using the nickname she made up months ago. It breaks something in him. That night, the apartment feels smaller than ever. Lena sits on the couch, silent and drained, while the kids sleep curled up together on a blanket. Ethan lies awake in the next room, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint sound of her crying through the wall. Every instinct in him wants to fix this, find her a new place, pay her bills, make it all disappear again. But something deep inside tells him that if he keeps doing that, neither of them will ever be free. He gets up quietly, turns on the small lamp at his desk, and takes out a notebook. His hands tremble as he writes, each word heavy with exhaustion and love. "Lena, I love you. You're my sister, and I always will. But I can't keep fixing what you refuse to face. I've spent so many years trying to protect you that I forgot how to protect myself. You need to stand up for yourself, for the kids, for your future. I'll help you one last time, but after this, you need to live your own life. It's the only way either of us will ever be okay." He leaves the letter on the kitchen table beside a cup of coffee before dawn. When Lena wakes, she reads it silently. No shouting, no tears, just quiet acceptance. Maybe she finally understands. Ethan spends the next few days helping her find a smaller, cheaper apartment on the edge of town. It's not much, 2 rooms, peeling paint, creaky floors, but it's something she can manage on her own. He pays the first month's rent and gives her a modest grocery card, nothing more. Then he calls a local job counselor he knows through work and sets up an appointment for her. Lena resists at first, embarrassed and defensive. "You don't have to do this," she says quietly, her voice trembling with shame. "I'm not doing it for you," Ethan replies softly. "I'm doing it so this doesn't happen again." For the first time in years, their conversation isn't built on guilt or anger. It's honest. It's hard, but it's real. When he leaves her new apartment that evening, Lena stands in the doorway, looking small but steadier than before. The kids wave from the window. Ethan forces a smile and waves back, his chest tight with something he can't quite name: relief, sadness, hope. Maybe all three. As he drives away, the city lights stretch out before him, and for the first time in a long while, he feels the weight on his shoulders begin to lift. He's finally starting to understand that love doesn't always mean carrying someone. It sometimes means teaching them how to stand. 6 months have passed. The seasons have shifted from the heavy gloom of winter to the light of early summer, and with it, Ethan has changed too. He's back in the city, but life feels different now, quieter, more balanced. His apartment, once cluttered with unopened bills and exhaustion, now breathes with calm energy. He wakes early, makes breakfast without rushing, and takes long walks before work. His eyes no longer carry the same tired heaviness. He's learning that peace doesn't come from control, but from acceptance. After the chaos with Lena, he decided to do something meaningful with what he'd learned. Twice a week, he volunteers at a community center, teaching single parents how to manage their finances. He doesn't just talk about numbers. He talks about boundaries, self-worth, and how to start over. For the first time in his life, his compassion has direction. He's no longer pouring from an empty cup. He's giving from a place of strength. One evening, while wrapping up a budgeting session, Ethan checks his phone and sees a message from Lena. It's short but warm. Got my first paycheck. Dinner's on me next time. He stares at the text for a long moment, a slow smile spreading across his face. It's not the words themselves that move him, it's the tone behind them. There's no plea, no apology, no hidden request. Just simple pride. She's beginning to stand on her own, and that means more to him than anything he ever bought or paid for. He types back, "I'm proud of you. Name the place." A week later, they meet at a park halfway between their cities. The kids are the first to spot him. They shout his name and race toward him with open arms. He laughs, kneeling down to catch them both in a hug. The air is filled with the sound of children's laughter, the kind that heals without trying. Lena approaches a few steps behind, looking different, tired still, but steady, like someone who's finally learned how to stand in her own life. They sit on a bench watching the kids chase bubbles across the grass. For a long while, neither of them speaks. Then Lena breaks the silence, her voice soft but certain. "I didn't realize how much I was leaning on you," she says, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "It wasn't fair. I kept thinking love meant someone saving me." Ethan nods, smiling gently. "We both had to learn where the line is," he replies. "Love's not about rescuing each other. It's about helping each other find solid ground." Lena turns to him and smiles for real this time, not out of guilt or relief, but gratitude. "Thank you," she says quietly. They sit together in peace, the past finally behind them. The weight that once defined their relationship has been replaced by something lighter, mutual respect. As the sun begins to dip, golden light spills across the park, catching the children's laughter in its glow. A soft voiceover plays in Ethan's mind, words he might never say out loud, but that carry the truth of everything he's learned. Family isn't about rescuing each other. It's about giving each other the strength to stand alone. I used to think love meant carrying her burden. Now I know love sometimes means letting go. Ethan stands, watching the kids chase one last stream of bubbles into the wind. He smiles, hands in his pockets, feeling a rare kind of peace, the kind that comes after a long storm finally passes. As he walks toward his car, his phone buzzes again. It's another message from Lena. "Thank you for finally letting me grow up." He stops, reading it twice, then tucks his phone away, the faintest smile still on his face. The camera lingers on him as he walks down the sunlit path, the children's laughter echoing behind him, the bubbles rising and fading into the golden light. Fade out. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please subscribe our channel. Awesome visual story.